Hello and welcome. In this explainer, we're going to dive into a really powerful framework called traffic light processing. It's a way to help us understand our reactions and maybe move away from all that self-criticism towards some real insight into how our nervous system actually works.
So let me ask you, do you ever have those moments, when you feel like you're being totally irrational or just completely overreacting? It's that feeling where you later look back and think, why on earth did I do that? And it's so easy to label it as some kind of character flaw, right?
Well, here's the central idea we're going to explore today. What if it's not a character flaw at all? What if instead it's just a physiological signal, a message from your body's nervous system trying to tell you something important? Okay, so here's our roadmap. We'll start with what this is all about. A signal, not a flaw. Then we'll break down the two key players, the driver and the light. We'll look at what's happening inside the red state, and then get into the practical side of things, the skill of regulation. We'll also touch on what happens when red becomes a more chronic state, and, importantly, redefine what success even looks like here, because it's probably not what you think.
Right, let's jump in. First up, we're going to introduce this new framework.
Okay, so the core idea here is the traffic light processing framework. And to get our heads around it, let's use a metaphor. Think of your mind as a vehicle. You're the one in the driver's seat, and there's a traffic light up ahead. This simple picture is actually key to understanding two very different systems that are constantly at play inside of us.
So let's break that down. What exactly are the driver and the light? It's really important to see them as two distinct parts of our internal world. First, let's talk about the driver. You can think of the driver as your executive functions, things like planning ahead, seeing the bigger picture, and controlling your impulses. It's essentially the thinking part of your brain, the part that you probably identify as you.
And then there's the red light. Now, this is crucial. The red light isn't a choice you make, and it isn't a behavior. It's a signal. It's your body's automatic state detection system sending up a massive warning flare. It basically means your nervous system has detected a threat, and it doesn't matter if that threat is real or just perceived.
So you can see the fundamental difference here, right? You've got the driver, which is all about executive function, planning, and perspective. And then you have the red light, which is about state detection. It's a threat signal. They have completely different jobs. And here is the most important part of this whole idea. The light changes first. The driver doesn't control the light, your body reacts, and that light flips to red before your thinking brain has even had a chance to fully assess what's going on. Just understanding that one thing can be a game changer for reducing all that shame and self-criticism. Okay, so what's actually happening on a neurological level when that red light flicks on? What does it feel like to be inside the red state? Well, when you're in that red state, a few things happen. Your thinking narrows right down. Your ability to feel empathy for others just plummets. You get this intense urge to prove you're right or to defend your position. Physically, your heart might start racing. And what's often the most confusing part, suddenly neutral everyday things can feel intensely threatening. What this all means is that your executive bandwidth, the driver's processing power, is massively reduced. It really is like trying to run some really complex software on a very old, slow computer. The whole system just gets sluggish and makes a lot of mistakes. And you can really see this play out in relationships, can't you? Imagine two people, and both of their nervous systems are in that red state. One person's defensive comment becomes a threat signal for the other, which triggers their red light, and it just escalates. Both drivers are operating with barely any capacity, and what started as a tiny disagreement can spiral into a huge fight, all while both people are convinced they are the rational one. Okay, so we've laid out the problem. Now let's talk about the solution. And the good news is, this is a learnable skill. It just requires a bit of a mindset shift. Here's the shift. When that red light is on, the driver's job is not to win the argument. It's not to push forward. The driver's only job in that moment is to regulate. That's it. To do whatever it takes to help the nervous system settle down so the thinking brain can come back online. And there's a really simple three-step process for this. First is awareness. You just start to notice the physical cues in your body. Maybe it's a tightness in your chest, or you realize you're not really breathing. Step 2 is acknowledgement. You just mentally label it without any judgment. Something simple like, okay, I'm in red. And the third step is action. You deliberately choose a regulation strategy. That could be pausing the conversation, taking a slow breath, or even just physically stepping away for a minute.
And this is so important. Every single time you notice you've gone into an orange or red state and you manage to guide yourself back to green, you are literally rewiring your nervous system. You're building and strengthening the neural pathways for regulation. This isn't magic, it's skill acquisition. And just like any other skill, the more you practice, the better you get. But what if it feels like that red light is just always on, or it's incredibly easy to trigger? Let's talk about that, because there's often a reason for it. Think about it. Things like chronic stress, pressure at work, not getting enough sleep, being ill, dealing with pain, or constant conflict. All of these things are like a slow drain on your internal battery. They lower your baseline capacity, which just means your whole system has less resilience to begin with.
So, if you find yourself getting triggered really easily, it might not be a failure of your skill to regulate. It might just be that your fuel tank is running on empty. Sometimes the problem isn't the driver, it's the fact the car is out of petrol. And that brings us to one last really important point. We need to reframe what success actually means in all of this. A lot of people think the goal is to be in a green state all the time, but that's absolutely not it. The goal is not permanent green. Think about it. A red light is a protective signal. You wouldn't want to get rid of it. It's a vital part of your nervous system that's designed to keep you safe.
So, the true goal, the real sign of progress, is simply earlier detection and a shorter duration of that red state. It's about spotting the light change from green to orange a bit quicker. It's about reducing the amount of time you spend stuck in red. That's it. It's about becoming a more skillful driver, not about getting rid of the traffic lights.
And this really is the key takeaway. It separates who you are from your body's automatic reaction. You are not the red light. You are the driver, and you are simply learning how to respond to it. And with every trip, you're learning to navigate with just a little more awareness and a little more skill.